It's rock and roll.
Welcome to the Look It's Rock and Roll podcast. We're back after a while. When was the last time we got together? Was that ABBA or what? I don't remember.
Or Ozzy.
Ozzy. Yeah, we're waiting for someone to pick an album, aren't we? So today it's just Ken and myself, and we're going to do another album review, and hopefully we don't get long critical essays like we did with the ABBA one, which was very entertaining. Still, these are our opinions about songs and bands that we listen to, and there is no agenda when it comes to what we talk about. We map out how we're going to talk about it and then just go. Today's episode is a band that is probably the first heavy metal band that I got into, so they have remained close to my heart ever since I was introduced to them I had a good friend growing up called Mike, and he introduced me to Pyromania. And that's a giveaway to which band and which album we're going to be talking about today. And it was around the same time Quiet Riot Metal Health was, big as well. So I don't remember which came first in terms of my lineage. Probably Metal Health, but, whatever. Doesn't matter. You've been into Leppard for a long time as well. I mean, your entry point was what?
Yeah, my entry point was High and Dry, when they had a I can't remember if it was KSAN radio or whatever, one of those stations around here. They used to play like on I think it was like a Sunday night. They used to play a full album of a new album, artist, but just a new album. And I, occasionally listened to it, and then I was sitting there listening to it on a Sunday night, and they were playing Def Leppard. I never heard of this band before, but then right from the get-go, man, that the thing just, I like amazed at each song after song I was hearing. So I was like, oh man, okay, I'm gonna go get this. And I went, the following, I think it was Tuesday, when they used to have Tuesday releases, and picked it up, and that was the album for me.
Yeah, so I may have been born in London, but I grew up in Bradford, Yorkshire. So Sheffield is not that far from Bradford, so it's a connection. But I got a couple of connections to Sheffield, actually. My sister, when we left America, I went to Singapore, and she went back to the UK, and she ended up at Sheffield University years later, and her landlord was actually Pete Willis. And he would come around and do the landlord. He would come around and do the landlord thing. So that was in the 90s. So well after he bought property in Sheffield apparently after his departure from the band, and obviously nothing worked out for him with Gog Magog and Roadhouse. That's another album. Strongly recommended people check that. Roadhouse came out in the late 80s, probably a couple years too late. In a similar vein to Hysteria. Pete, I don't know how involved he was, but some very strong songs on that, tons of B-sides as well. Let's get into Diamond Star Halos.
Yeah.
Def Leppard, the press is all hitting for them now on the album, and there's, a lot of backstories to them thinking they were going to be getting to work on a new studio album together March the 20th, 2020. And, well, something happened around that time. I was diagnosed with COVID, 2 days before then, and the world went to hell. But they continued to make an album, and they made this album across the phone, basically, with one another. They had ideas. Some of these ideas on this album go back nearly 20 years, and I think there's elements that go back further. I think there's leftovers that, they finally had time to work on and develop. So it was a real nice surprise. I mean, let's just start off with reaction when Def Leppard announced that they had a new studio album. It's only been nearly 7 years since the last one.
Yeah, I mean, for a band like Def Leppard and some other bands that seem to put out or try to stay active, it was nice to see that they're putting something out. Keeping out there. So I'm always gonna check it out and definitely and see what it sounds like and see if it was good. So yeah, I was very interested. Just like them and the Scorpions, both Scorpions wasn't very long ago too. They released theirs too, and so I was interested in that. So just like that, Def Leppard was one I would. You just got to check. You always have to check to see what they're doing now and seeing if they've you know still have it, and you never know what you're going to get. Sometimes you're going to get some great stuff or surprising things. So that it was exciting. It was good to check it out, and I'm glad I did.
It's always good when a band announces a new album. I've never skipped a Def Leppard album. I've always been current on them. There's one band that's never fallen off my radar, whether it was X, which I dig, whether it was Euphoria, which I loved, Slang. They've never lost my complete kind of fanboyishness. That I followed them through their changes and their evolution. And we're gonna go song by song through this, and then we'll pick some faves, some least faves, what's missing. We're not going to rank the songs because there's just too darn many on this album. 15.
Yeah, it's too difficult.
Which version did you get? Did you get? I think it's clearly the regular edition.
I got the regular black, kind of the black and white art edition. Here's the CD, but I'm sure yours is. I think you showed a color version.
Yeah, I ordered the wrong one apparently, or. I'm thinking what happened with me is I did not order the deluxe, which had a color cover, because it came in a freaking digipack, which I despise.
And maybe that's why I ordered this one.
Yeah, and so that's why I ordered the regular edition. I think I ordered the limited edition vinyl with the signed litho. And I have a package coming from Live Nation at the end of this week, which I'm hoping is that. But I usually don't do that. But for Def Leppard, for this one, I did. Let's get into the songs. We're going to start right at the beginning. Album kicks off with Take What You Want, written by Joe and Sav. What's your thoughts on that one?
Yeah, I mean, that's a good way to start an album. I think it's, one of the obviously strongest albums or strongest songs on the album. Nice intro opening the song that you'll hear a little bit later on in the bridge again. But it's a nice intro. Then it kicks in, and pretty much just it rocks. You can tell it's Def Leppard. It's the guitar sound, I guess you could say, was as unmistakable for Def Leppard. It's 80s, and it's it's kind of sound and catchy, I just think it's a really good, strong, very strong song.
Incredibly powerful starter for to open a track with. I'm just going to read through my notes. I like the immediate groove and the catchy chorus, the solo battles. Viv storms through the first part with what I love about Vivian's playing. I mean, Vivian Campbell is a monster player when he's allowed the space to breathe. And there's often a little bit too much competition between. And I'll say it straight up. I have a love-hate relationship with Phil. Number one, I'm still waiting for a girl reunion. Number two, he gets a bit widdly-fiddly with his Jacksons for me, whereas what Viv does with a Les Paul, or in a more traditional role, when you think back to some of the solos he was doing with Dio, are way more out of a different wheelhouse than where Phil has gone. But they complement each other nicely here, too, the separate guitar work. So my last notes on that was go Team Lep, because it's a really Def Leppard-ish song, but it echoes farther. It's way more in kind of the wheelhouse of High and Dry for me. The hard rocking, just continuous rocking song and that doesn't have edges polished off with it like some of the Run Riot on Hysteria.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, moving on. Kick. Dave Bassett. I forgot to Google these other co-writers, but it looks like Phil's gone to quite a few kind of pop writers, some who've worked with bands like Weezer. And off the top of my head, I've actually got the wiki page, I can find out. Van Stroy, Bishop Briggs, Hailstrom, Pop Evil. Yeah, okay. So it's kind of obvious from that perspective. This has been a single. But it's also got super throwback glammy swagger. And
Exactly.
it's like a blender of Leppard influences, but it's immediately identifiable as Deafest or Leopards. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I totally agree. I mean, it comes in, it has the hand claps, the whole bit. It's very catchy, which is always a plus, and it's kind of it's poppy, and yeah, I was thinking glitter, glitter glam style. It's poppy, has na kind of stuff going on in there. When I listened to it, I could hear the Sweet singing it. I
Absolutely.
mean, it really, it would have been the perfect song for them. And it also has like a little bit of like I love rock and roll mixed in, from like um, Joan
Joan.
Jett,
Yeah.
that song. So I hear all those kind of elements. So it's a very catchy song. It makes sense that it was a single. One of my more favorite songs on the album.
Yeah, it's another one where there's a good interplay between those two different guitar styles that blends
Hmm.
well. And most positively, 2 songs in, I haven't rolled my eyes at Phil's playing yet. That's a good thing for me. All right,
Yes.
moving on into "Fire It Up," another one that's been kind of a single for the album. You go first on that one.
Yeah, this one is more, to me, it felt more, it's a good song. It feels more like that it would fit on one of their, mid, 80s albums. It has kind of like that pour some sugar on me kind of feel, the kind of talking kind of verses. And then it builds, and kicks into the chorus kind of thing. That's very similar to like, pour some sugar on me. The riff is really good in the song. It's a cool riff. Just a real good song in it. And if they're going to make it sound like something from the past, I don't know if this was one of their leftovers, but it would fit in the 80s for sure.
Yeah, so Sam Hollander co-wrote this with Phil. He's worked with Weezer,
Hmm.
and I think Panic at the Disco for that one. But this is another throwback, and I'm glad you mentioned Pour Some Sugar on Me, because for me, this one is like half an inch away from moving into dub territory, which I know Phil touches on, quite a bit, especially back with Man Rays. So it's a very interesting song structurally, but it's still got a glitter-like stomp going to it, and by that I mean
Yeah.
Gary Glitter stomp. Unlike the Bolin and Sweet of the previous song. So you can see where they get the Diamond Star Halos coming from. That's a Bolin song, clearly,
Mhm.
bang a gong. But I like the atmospheric solo here. So 3 songs in, and I'm still pleased with Phil. Awesome. Things are looking good.
Everything's good.
Yeah, I think the first 3 songs are incredibly one of the most solid starts to a Def Leppard album in a very long time. You got a great barn burner to open it, to make high and dry junkies like me happy, but it maintains an adrenaline level through these first 3 songs very well, but it is very subtly downshifting, which moves nicely into this guitar, which is a complete left turn at Albuquerque.
Yes.
This guitar, Ken, give us your thoughts.
Well, this you said left turn, and that's what I wrote down in my notes. Left turn. That's the first thing I wrote down. Left turn. All right. I don't know. This song, it has Alison Krauss, right? Who I believe, has in my opinion, the voice of an angel. Um, and to tell you the truth, in my opinion, it's just so much of a left turn that it doesn't fit there. It just like halts everything. The momentum from the first 3 songs, so it halts everything. It really doesn't fit. The song should have been kept maybe separate or as like a bonus. I see that more like a bonus or some other project. It's a, in its own world, song by itself. It's a nice song. It's well done. But it should have been, kept apart from these other rocking songs. It doesn't really fit. So yeah, total left turn on that one.
And I'm
I'm
glad they
guessing.
did. I'm glad they did because it's an old song. It's 2003, according
Yeah.
to Joe in an interview that I was reading up on today. Um, it's weird. It's X territory. For being sort of the more manufactured pop by having, but it's a very sentimental song, which I love about it. And I wasn't sure what to think about Alison Krauss teaming with Joe and duetting, but the voices work so well together. I like this a lot more than I thought I would. But again, to give props to Viv, that Beckish slide at the very beginning of it is just so tasty. It's unbelievable. It's just nice to hear. Yeah, it's so nice to hear that sort of thing. But again, throughout, you got a good interplay on the guitars. The strings take it down into kind of I don't want to miss a thing territory, but they do work. It's a stunning song, but it is out of place. But where else would it fit? I guess like I don't want to miss a thing, maybe as a soundtrack, a song to something,
Yeah. I don't know. It's just, to me, and we'll get into there'll be another Alison Krauss. Maybe I'll say my comments there after that one, but we'll move on.
All right, move on. Okay. SOS Emergency.
SOS Emergency. Yeah, I mean, it's a good, it's a basic kind of rocker. Has your regular Def Leppard kind of elements, the guitar sound and so on. Gang vocals and riffing and stuff. To me, it's just a regular kind of standard. It's a basic rocker, but it's a good song. It works. It works fine.
Yeah, so catchy chorus, very catchy. It's a throwback for me. It seems to be more Phil than Joe. Total Hysteria throwback, and I guess for newer fans, Euphoria throwback.
Yeah.
But it's definitely more in that kind of vein of their later rockers than anything else. Good song. Not quite the same quality as the first three, but we're maintaining a very high level here. Liquid Dust, written by Phil. I better let you go first on that.
Yeah, Liquid Dust. I didn't know what to think of it at first, but it's kind of growing on me more. I kind of like it. It's more of a laid back kind of song, laid back kind of rock. What it is it's not your typical sounding Def Leppard. It's more psychedelic type of song. I would call it psychedelic, with the way a song is done, and the guitar solo, especially the guitar solo. It has almost like that psychedelic, Beatle-y kind of feel to it. That's how I interpret it. But I actually like, the more I listen to it, the more I like it. It's it's a pretty semi catchy chorus. But it's more about the feel of the song, the atmosphere, I think. I like that one.
Yeah, so my first run of notes on this was one word: terrible.
Oh, you didn't like it? Okay.
No.
I like it more later.
I'm not going to skip it. I mean, I've already got this loaded on my phone for going out walking and all that. I don't skip songs and albums, even if I don't like them. This is not grown on me. It's slangish. And that, the elements that you're talking about remind me of some of the things that they were experimenting with on that album. But there it worked for my taste. Here, it just doesn't seem to have a purpose. It's like more of a hodgepodge. It's too many ideas going into one thing. And, whatever he's trying to kind of present with Liquid Dust, I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake, really? Yeah. Sorry, Phil. I'm still happy with you, Phil, but not with that song in particular. Let's move on to another solo Phil cut. You Rock Me, right down to the 12-year-old titling. I was like, oh, for fuck's sake. What a dumb title for 60-year-olds to be using. But then again, it's rock and roll and it's fun and it's supposed to be. But my notes for this one is it's not as bad as the preceding track. So
is that your notes?
I think I think I've fallen into a little bit of a dead zone here. It's catchy though. It's still Def Leppard catchy. It's not horrendous, but I don't know. It's clearly me and not the song, because I like the catchiness, but I don't like the title and it bothers me.
Well, Yeah, yeah. I like how the Liquid Dust kind of flows into. There's no separation. It flows right into the "You Rock Me" song from Liquid Dust into the end of that into the beginning of "You Rock Me." Um, I like. There's some acoustic guitar mixed in there. It's a definitely different feel on it. But I liked it. I liked the breakdown in the middle. Maybe that's the part I like the most. And the guitar solos trading off in that song. I wrote down, it's simple but real good. That's how I think of it.
Nothing wrong with that. All right, a solo composition by Joe. Goodbye for good this time. You continue. You're on a roll.
Yeah, goodbye for good. It's a ballad. We got the piano going on this one. And it builds on that. The piano starts with the piano and builds on it. Nice acoustic solo and the strings backgrounds and strings going on in it is well done. I think I said it was on here in my notes, and it's a nice song. So it's good.
Yeah, it is good. It's a very strong ballad, and I like Phil's acoustic guitar work on this one. Def Leppard's going to hit you with some ballads on occasion, and you either love them for it or you hate them for it. And I'm fine with it. It's a very pleasant song. I'm not raving over it, but it's very decent. What does shock me with every song on this album, and I'll say more when we summarize, is just how strong the compositions generally are across the board. It's a very, very consistent album. Whether or not individual songs hit my personal taste, they're very well crafted pieces of music, musically and lyrically, and that's what I like. All right.
Yeah.
Now I've got some negativity for the next one. All We Need, written by Joe and Phil. And my notes are straightforward. I hate the sampled drums on this song in particular, pudding pans and plastic tubs, or the drum machine starting to wear very thin for me, as it's far too present and obvious through this album in general. And drum machines are nothing new to Leppard, for God's sakes. Everyone knows about Pyromania, and how the band, has used triggered samples to work with Rick's changed circumstances. But here, it feels that it lacks a drummer's feel with the programming. And it just gets old. And for me, what would make this song really good is for it to have the Slang era acoustic kit that Rick was playing, and that goes for a lot of the songs as well. That sound of those drums on Slang, married with this material. Slang has some pretty up-tempo rocking stuff on it as well, not just the more experimentation and textured stuff. Same here. They're still experimenting. They're still going through, weaving a tapestry of textures. But this is very much a latter half of Def Leppard song with a strong chorus.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you on that. I'm kind of wondering who programmed the drums, actually.
Ronan.
It's not a drummer, right?
No. It's Ronan McHugh, their studio guy.
Okay, yeah. So, you can do it as much as you want, try to get a feel, but you're not going to get a real feel when you program. So it's too, whatever you want to call it, electronic and exact. So I thought on this song, it has a typical kind of Def Leppard sound. It's a good verse and chorus, but my notes say, it's pretty basic, just pretty basic. So I don't rate it too highly. It's not one of my favorites on the album.
Okay. Oh, next one is it's a contender for me for one of the best on the album. Incredibly strong lyrically. Open Your Eyes, Joe and Phil. But it's the bass line
Mm.
that absolutely steals the show for me. And Sav is full, forward, center, present, very obvious on this song. But it's so vibrant, the song itself. They're in total command. They're at the top of their game. 45 years on, Def Leppard is still at the top of their craft compositionally, and it's absolutely incredible. And this is just one of those songs I'm like, wow, a band that old that I've been following most of my life is still putting out quality songs like this. Amazing. Your thoughts?
It's nice to that, you know, when the band can still, you know, do it and show they still have something left in the tank, you know. Open your eyes, yeah. I same thing. I mean, my notes, you know, about the cool bass riff, right? Distorted, cool bass riff going on. And but it's, you know, it's not a fast paced rocker. It's a slow rocker. And I like the gang vocals, background vocals, that how they use those in the song. And you know, the good soloing near the end, and the, you know, it goes in and goes into a fade out. I wish they would have extended that soloing longer, you know, the fade out, you know, kind of not faded. It was just, you know, pleasing. So I was hoping they would maybe do it for another 30 seconds at least or something like that. Would have been nice. But yeah, it's a really, really solid song.
All right. Give me a Kiss That Rocks, another Joe and Phil. It's the Joe and Phil show, clearly, often has been. Lots of us Kiss fans have been saying that for quite a long time. Give me a Kiss That Rocks.
I was thinking that when
well, when you start hearing lyrics like Sonic Boom Bang, it's like Sonic Boom. That's a Kiss album. You know.
Yeah.
It's another strong rocker with a great groove. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I wrote a straight ahead rocker. Yeah. I like the verses, and the chorus is decent, and you know, it's a basic solo, just a kind of a straight rocker. I mean, yeah, I thought, are they talking about Kiss? You know, they say they want to kiss everybody. Because there was there's a lyric in that song, something about shout it out.
Yeah.
Like,
I was like, am I reading too much into these lyrics or
yeah,
what?
I know. I was like, well, no, it must not be. I'm reading too much into it, like you. So, but yes, it's a, you know, good straight ahead rocking song. Nothing wrong with it.
Catchy songs, catchy choruses, catchy titles.
Yeah.
45-year-old geriatric band. Good job, guys. All right, Angels Can't Help You Now. Joe Elliott has still got it. Well, you know, on the last album, it was the last album. What was it? I don't remember. Rick Savage killed it with a ballad. Just absolutely stunning composition. And this time, Joe Elliott is painting, you know, such a plaintive picture with this song. I mean, Angels Can't Help You Now. That's pretty darn, you know, bleak. Total movie soundtrack song. This, in my mind. Your thoughts?
Yeah. I wrote it that, you know, it's a, you know, airy, dreamy ballad. And I liked how the backing vocals, you know, they're saying slipping away in the background vocals, how they did that. And the middle of the song where they're also, the gang background vocals are saying, you know, can't help you, angels can't help you now. And it has a, you know, a nice solo in it, very good. And it has a good, nice build at the end of the song. It builds. So yeah, it's the best ballad on this album.
Yeah. Definitely. Very, very strong from that perspective. And there aren't too many ballads, which is nice. Lifeless. Joe and Phil, again, featuring Alison Krauss. So you wanted to go back and talk about her on this one.
Yeah, I mean, so on this song, for instance, Alison sings it, you know, the first verse is Joe, and then on the second verse, she comes and sings with him. I would have rather have had her own verse where she could have sing along, and then later they could sing together, right? Because to me, she deserves her own separate vocal, not kind of a second fiddle. A second fiddle, fiddle,
Oh,
bluegrass. Sorry, but yeah, and then she's on the backing vocals. It's all nice, very nice. It's not as much of a left turn as the other song. This fits a little bit more. It's a good song, nice chorus, good bridge, and again, I would have liked to have had her own, little spotlight on her vocals, because I really like Alison Krauss, and like in Union Station. If you ever heard the Alison Krauss in Union Station live, it's a masterpiece of work, and I just love that. So anyway, I think she could have been better utilized, I guess, is the thing for me.
yeah, a country act's going to pick this up in no time.
Yeah.
Taylor Swift's going to put out her version in no time. I started off, again, my first notes on this were country pop pap. But I'm not against the crossover. Steven Tyler's done it very well, in my opinion.
I'm not against it. But,
Def Leppard's done it with Tim McGraw, 9 Lives, off Sparkle Lounge. Sam Borer and Bon Jovi have done it. The crossover is okay when it works, and I'm fine with it. The first time I listened to this one in particular, I had a brief WTF moment, but in terms of its music, it really doesn't swing the pendulum too far away from what Def Leppard is to me. And Def Leppard's pendulum swings a very broad spectrum, which is what I've loved about them, that they've never been afraid to go into areas. But I think this is one that really needs a country artist to, and they could do something with it with a little bit more legitimacy.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I agree with you.
And that's always a difficult thing for a rock band, especially when you're seen as a legacy rock act. And
right.
thank goodness, Def Leppard refuses to be a legacy act. They're going to keep recording albums, just like Iron Maiden, Priest, all these bands from the 70s that are called legacy, and they keep putting out new albums and playing them live.
They're not
songs.
Yeah, they're not worried about hurting their legacy by putting out new material.
No, their legacy is secure, and you're going to hear what musically keeps them moving. Because if you're not creating music as a band, you're no longer really a band. You're just a jukebox. And these bands that insist on making music, whether it works or not is half the point. Continuing to be creative and to express themselves and to show the fans where they're moving into. Everything on this album sounds honest to me. Nothing sounds contrived or manufactured. It doesn't sound like the stuff with Alison Krauss is there to try and pick up any of Robert Plant's audience, from his collaborations.
There's nothing forced here.
Yeah. It's organic, or it appears to be. If I'm completely wrong, well, then it's sold well. All right. Best song on the album, actually. Unbreakable. Again, Joe Elliott. This is just pure Def Leppard power to me. Yeah, it was the only, fortunately it's not, but if this was the only song on the album that I liked, I would happily listen to the other 14 songs on the album to get to this one song every single time. It's just worth it. And I hope that they do this one live, because what it will benefit from the most is real drums.
Ah, yeah. That's awesome.
Let Rick loose on it to reinterpret it properly in the way that he plays today. And Viv's solo on it, I just have a fist pump, going for. Yeah, I've always liked Vivian Camp. I'll never hide that. As much as I like, Phil Collen and where he came from with Girl. Viv came from a completely different place. These two different angles, and I'm more on Viv's side. So fantastic freaking song. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I like the song. Nice, short kind of riffs with a break in between, which it's kind of the old rock style classic that a lot of bands have done, but it works here, and I like the verses. The chorus is good with very good backing vocals going on. Yeah, real good song. I think it's just a real good rocker,
Yeah,
cool rocker.
Joe likes songs like that. I mean, Undefeated
Mm.
was Joe. Invincible was Joe and Rick Allen. So songs that kind of work out of that realm, they can still rock. They are still that same band, even though Pete's gone and Steven's no longer with us. They are still Def Leppard, and they're still a rock band. All right, final track on the album, From Here to Eternity.
Okay, From Here to Eternity. Yeah, first thing I heard as a thought of the old, movie and From Here to Eternity from way back. But anyway, yeah, it's interesting. It's a different type song. It's more of I guess you call it a bluesy kind of riff. That's how I interpret it. It's a pretty good song. It's different. Not a typical Def Leppard, not your typical Def Leppard song. It sounds like something else I've heard before, but I can't place it, like another band. I don't know if it's trying to be Zeppelin or something else, but I can't really pick it out. But I do like it. I think it's actually grown on me a little bit more the more I've listened to it.
Yeah, written by Rick Savage.
No,
Unbelievable. Just how he's growing and continuing to grow as a songwriter as well. I mean, my notes are straightforward on this. It's got so many textures, great harmonies. Another signature thing for Def Leppard is the harmonies. But it's dirgeful, it's mournful, and to me, it felt like a Daniel Craig era Bond movie ending. It's kind of like an ending sequence when Bond dies, or you think he's died, and you're going from here to eternity. But hopefully, like James Bond, Def Leppard will be back.
That's right.
It's a perfect ending for a fantastic album. All right. That's the songs. That's our thoughts on the 15. I don't think we need to go into the avant-garde versions of those. I was just listening to them a bit earlier, but don't really have much of a thought. You got to pick 3 favorites. What are they going to be, Ken?
All right. So my favorites are going to be 3 favorites. Are going to be Take What You Want, which was the lead-off song to the CD, and then Kick. It's like, you probably think I'm going to choose the first 3 songs, but I'm not going to choose the first 3 songs. I'm talking 2 of the 3. So tell me, Take What You Want, Kick, and then the one you don't like, one you hate, Liquid Dust.
Really?
Something about it I really like. Yeah.
Well, good. At least we're not cheating off each other's homework.
It could change. You listen to it more, it's probably switch to something else. But
yeah, tomorrow's a different day. I mean, I'm going to be throwing Sparkle Lounge, Def Leppard, and this on random. I'll probably throw in the songs off Mirrorball as well, the new studio stuff from there. All right, 3 favorites. Unbreakable. Mm-hmm. I better not rave about it that much and then not pick it. Open Your Eyes, obviously. And then I agree with you for Take What You Want. Those are my 3 strongest, but it could easily be 8 or 10 super strong songs on this album. It is that strong. It is that consistent. All right, least favorite. Do you got 1 or 2 or 3?
I just listed 3 least favorite. I mean, again, it says favorite, right? So the least of the favorites. Well, one of them. Okay, I had to do it. This guitar.
Really?
I had to do it because it was just.
But it saved his life.
It's a nice song by itself, right? But again, it's so much of a left turn. I mean, just so much of a left turn that I just had to put it on here. That's the main reason. It's not a bad song. It's just doesn't make sense where it sits. So that's just all I'm saying about it.
But but his dog died, but he still had this guitar. His truck broke
Well, he
down.
shouldn't have hit the dog with the guitar. I mean, anyway. All right, so that's that one. Then Give Me a Kiss I have on there, and then All We Need. You might agree with that one, then maybe. I don't know.
I don't.
Okay, well,
Even
you're gonna put
with
nothing.
even
to
with
make
the
me
pudding
feel
pounds in plastic tubs, I don't agree. I can only pick one
like
for
with
least
Dust, right?
favorite. Exactly. That I'm sorry, Phil. I am just not taking to it. I'm going to continue listening to it. I can't say that the first time I listened to Slang, everything hit with me. It did take some time for a few of the songs to grow. And maybe this needs 35 more listens. It's been on continuous repeat since I got it. My order from Universal didn't show up on time, so I was like, iTunes. I wasn't waiting. Was not waiting, and I'm glad I didn't, because the Universal delivery didn't arrive very quickly this time. All right, what's missing from this album for you? We've kind of raved about all the positives about what we like that they did include. What is missing? And take that any which way you want.
Yeah, well, a few things missing is the drummer. That's one. I would have liked a little bit more. I mean, they touch on it, with certain songs, that Def Leppard staple kind of sound and feel from the 80s. I wish it was a little bit more of that. That's all. I mean, otherwise, there's really not a lot, I would say, missing on it. It's pretty solid as it goes.
Yeah, it's not the drummer missing; the drums are missing for me.
Well, yeah,
that they've gone. I can understand the programming, but it's not the same. Programming is a completely different beast for me, in how it makes the song sound. An organic or a drummer's interpretation of percussion on the songs is a completely different perspective than someone programming a drum kit. And that's what I miss. And like I said, on some of the songs, the Slang era sound of the drums would just take them to the next level, which is why I want to hear how many of these songs they do live, and why I'm going to go back and check out that Sirius XM broadcast to see how they sounded live. But there's one other thing that's missing that relates to percussion, and it is the rest of the percussion elements, wood blocks, cowbell, all those other little
tambourine
accoutrements that season a song are completely lacking. Whereas the album has been seasoned with strings and a lot of dedication to that. Additional backing vocalists brought in to change the dynamics of the harmonies. So that's one other area that is lacking. I don't think it's a negative. It doesn't make it a worse album, shall we say, for not having it, but its presence is missed to my ears, that it doesn't feel like the sound is fully there. Or maybe I've, Mutt Lange's polluted my mind.
maybe.
Last thing that's missing, Viv. Not a single co-write. All Phil. In fact, possibly too much Phil.
Monopolized there.
Well, I don't know if Vivian doesn't. I don't know what the involvement is. If he's busy with his last in line stuff, and that's where his creative energy. He's got an EP coming out,
right.
For that. If that's where the energy has been, but it feels a little bit unbalanced from that perspective. In that second guitarist songwriting voice, and Viv, don't forget what he brings to the band in terms of songwriting on albums past, would break it up slightly. But then again, I think there's a good diversity of material across the board. It was just not seeing his name as much in the credits as perhaps I hope, and that may just be a personal taste type thing. All right, overall, wrap up your thoughts with Diamond Star Halos. Persuade someone who hates Def Leppard why they need to add this to their playlist.
Who hates Def Leppard? Well, because it's not your typical Def Leppard. Like maybe if you didn't like pyromania or something like that. It's not all like that. There may be a little bit of sounds from that, but it has a lot of different material that actually spans, styles that span their career, I guess. So from that standpoint, it's a real good, well-written songs, well-written album. I guess the only thing I would say is if they could have, reduced the amount of songs, some of those like left turns, and made a real. I mean, it's solid. They could have even made it more solid by putting like a 12, or 10, or 12 song CD or album, and then had bonus kind of cuts, like a extended edition or limited edition with, if you wanted the extra songs, something like that. That's just me, I guess, marketing or whatever. But otherwise, it really, the whole album is good, and they're able to put 15 songs on something, write that many, decent songs, and they're not really throwaways, then you're doing okay.
Yeah, for very lacking in throwaways. It's almost like a physical graffiti in that it's got a lot of diversity, in a couple of country-ish type songs, some pop songs, some hardcore rockers, some acoustic guitar featured. So it's a real potpourri of Def Leppard sounds. And I think that's a reason to get it. It's a damn sight better than the most recent Ghost album. So I think old Papa Emeritus Tobias better go and buy a Def Leppard album and see how the big boys do it, because the masters are showing everyone who's kind of in a similar genre how to craft songs and how you can still be crafting songs. So overall, it's a massive win for Def Leppard to be putting out an album like this in 2022, 45 years after their formation. And I'm flabbergasted. It gives me hope. So maybe some other bands that are, have been teetering on their last legs. Well, it's probably too late, because they will have spent the past 2 years during COVID. This is how a band should spend their COVID downtime. Obviously, No one knew it was going to take as long as it did. But now Def Leppard's ready to head back on the road during the summer. They've got an album. They've got videos. They've got exposure. And they've got, hopefully a lot of happy fans.
Yeah,
I
think it's going to be good.
That's it. Diamond Star Halos. They're kind of winding down, clearly. 6 albums in the first 20 years, or studio albums, 4 in the second 20 years. So for the next 20 years, the forecast is there'll only be 2 Def Leppard studio albums in the next 20. So look forward to them when they come out. Check it out wherever you buy your CDs, support your local record stores and all that. And thanks for joining us on the Look It's Rock and Roll podcast. Ken and me are out. Take care. Thank you for watching or listening to this episode. Be sure to subscribe to us, like us, or even leave us a review. You can find us and join the conversation on Facebook.